Hi everybody, and again we continue with how to read the palm of our hand. Last time we covered the size of the finger, different type of fingers, fingernails. Now we're getting into the lines in the palm. So we know that basically when you close your fist, you close your palm of your hand, there is some line that appear on your hand. Those lines are horizontal versus vertical line. And when we talk about vertical line, this is more represent the giving force of our soul. And when we are talking about the horizontal line, we are talking about more the receiving force. So for example, as we can see on the screen, when we have different type of hands. So just by looking at the hand of a person, and you're going to see many lines which are horizontal, then you know there is more of a receiving persona, more of a receiving person in front of you, and more that you have a vertical line, it will be more of a sharing nature person. It's not necessarily all the time mean this is good or this is bad. It's more has to do with the idea of what is the person that you're dealing with. And because we're going to cover the face, the palm, the forehead, the nose, we have to build the whole strategy how to talk to that individual, how to communicate better. People with the more receiving line tend to be more active, more forceful, because they are after their goal, they want to receive. Now they can use it in a good way if the receiving is to build something which will be benefit everybody else. But if the receiving is just for themselves, of course it's not a great idea, because it turned into a black hole. It's me, 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 and myself, just my ego. The vertical line are more people who have a nature of sharing, giving, but also as a weak side to it, the weak spot, which is they give up on their dream, they give up on themselves, which is almost have no ego. But without having an ego, you don't have a sense of survival, of what God created you for. The way to check the balance between the two is you have to measure the size of the finger versus the size of the palm. If the fingers is longer than the palm, that means you are dealing with more philosopher type of personality versus of a person with a palm who's larger than the finger. People who has palm larger than the finger mean they are more practical. They will be more practical, and people with a longer finger than the palm, it's very simple. You just measure the middle finger and you go ahead and measure the palm. So if the palm is larger, that's when it's more practicality. Those people manifest things much faster. When the fingers is larger, those people will be excellent at talking, but not necessarily manifesting. And again, we're not here to judge what's worse and what's better. It's just different type of personality. And if we will learn to use our gift, and we will learn to communicate with people according to who they are, things will be better. So for example, as you're going on a date, see a person, finger is longer, palm is smaller, you talk to them more from a philosophical point of view, not necessarily to bring everything into what we call in Kabbalah, Malchut, into manifestation. You talk about potential stuff. You don't have to bring things down all the way to the fruition level, all the way into manifestation level. When you have people with a larger palm than the finger, they want to hear about the bottom line. Okay, what's the bottom line? Where is it going? When we're building it? When we're renting? When we're buying? Things have to have attachment of time to people who has a larger palm than the finger. Now, let's go and start to study about basically the line on your hand. And the best way to recognize the line is by understanding the concept of the mount on your hand. And the mount has to do with astrological sign, and understanding the astrological sign will help you also to understand the mount. So very simple, and I think we talked about it last time, but I want to do it again to make sure you relate it to the finger. The thing next to your thumb, it's called the mount of Venus, representing passion, representing love, representing love for luxury, comfort, sexuality. So when we say mount, it's supposed to be a mount. So larger the mount will be, that's when Venus will be exist there in a larger amount. More energy of Venus will affect that person. Next to it, we have the amount of Jupiter. The amount of Jupiter is below the index finger, represent the area of Jupiter. Jupiter, as you know, it's a large planet, okay? So represent the sign, if you want to know the sign that controls Jupiter, is Sagittarius and Pisces, the lucky one. You know, it's called the lucky planet. So when you have a strong Jupiter, you're lucky, but also tend to be controlling a little bit. So too much of a large Jupiter mount could be the negative side, control freak, the positive side, leadership skills. The middle finger, called Saturn, controlled by Capricorn and Aquarius. We're not supposed to have a mount under Saturn, but if there is a mount, that's activation of Saturn, which is heavy. They call it in astrology the lesson. The teacher, they teach you all the lesson. Some of the lessons are negative, it's not easy. So all the idea of criticism. So people with the mount below the middle finger might have an issue to over criticize themselves. And that's why when you're about to tell them what's wrong with them, they become explosive. They become worse than other normal people. And people with the Mount Saturn can suffer from depression as well. This we're going to discuss when we're getting to the headline later on. The ring finger is controlled by the sun, Leo, of course. So this is the fame. The mount on the ring finger show fame, show pride, show ego. And that's why people who have their ring finger larger than the index finger are chasing pride more than they're chasing money, more than they're chasing control. So, but because they have a large ring finger, they're also very artistic. They can be super creative. They have the potential to be super creative. Mercury, the small little finger, the index finger, represent by Gemini and Virgo. So we're talking about more, Mercury has to do with speed, has to do with communication, has to do with money. Of course, large mount under the pinky finger will show that the person has potential to be rich, has potential to do things with more athletic, more fun. So it's a very important finger, and that's why we want the pinky finger to be larger than it should be larger than the ring finger, but it should not be too small, and it should start in the same line of the other finger, show a great way of communication. Also, it's a way to indicate if the person gets severely rejected when they were young. So if the pinky finger is small and the line starts really low, could be that person being adopted or suffering from some type of rejection issue. So if you're dating somebody like that, of course the words no meaning for them, I don't love you. Even if you don't tell them I don't love you, when they hear the word no, the connotation of the word for them is rejection, even if you didn't reject them. By the way, I didn't forget you, but Venus represented by Taurus and Libra. So the amount of Venus has to do with Libra, Taurus, the all love, mink, diamond, luxurious things. So they love to see something good. So for them to go to a good restaurant means something for them. In the bottom of the pinky finger, all the way in the bottom, this is the moon area. Large moon, good news, imagination, ability to write, ability to have fantasy. The bad news, you can have bad fantasy, meaning you start to have so much fantasy, you don't even leave the house. So you have to learn to manage that. especially if the headline touching that, that can lead into severe depression. But we're going to talk about it when we get to the headline. You have other planets that appear, but very difficult to see it. It's between the index finger and the thumb. It's called Mars. So it's exactly here in between. The reason I don't like to talk about it, because when I teach it, people sometimes get confused. But you need to know it's appeared there, and hopefully I will talk about it more and more. Now let's get and study the line. It's important to get into the line step by step. So I'm going to start with the lifeline. It's appear on the letter G and H. And I need to explain about the lifeline. There is a lot what to study about the lifeline. Of course, this is the first thing that people want to know: when they're going to die, how long they're going to live. You know, and after they know they live longer, the second question they have, okay, as my life will be good. So there is, right away, I don't need to teach you that, you know it already. When we talk about life, there is two aspects to life: quantity and quality. This is the two aspects to the lifeline. So quantity has to do with the length of the lifeline, and quality has to do with the depth. How deep is the line on your palm? Now, of course, that's not the only way we can find that indication. There is more line on your palm that I will teach you how to look to the palm, and it will take you step by step to understand exactly what's going on your palm of your hand. And it's very fun. Once you become more good in that, you just look at your hand. People from India believe that the best time to look at your hand is in the morning, first thing in the morning, like the first 2 hours, because when you sleep, there is something that appears in your hand that only appears in the morning, and you can see all details on your hand. And I found that true. I mean, I did many readings in my life, and it happened to be that they happen to be right. But of course, some people are busy in the morning, they rush to get the coffee and go to work, so you don't have the time to look at your hand. But if you drive on a subway, taxi, train, airplane, don't do it while you drive, of course, or you're on a traffic, you can look at your hand and then just keep and talking to you. So let's see where the lifeline begins. How do we know how long we're going to live? And how do we know the quality of the lifeline? So I'm going to go to the board here, and I'm going to draw different things. Even that drawing is not the best, I will do the best I can to explain to you exactly how it works. The lifeline is going between, this is the index finger, that's the thumb. So it's always going to go around Venus Mount. Now, the lifeline has to start in this point. Okay? And it ends here. So this is the start position. This is the end position. Now, the lifeline, which start like that, of course, indicate long life. And if it's strong line and it's deep, the quality of life will be great as well. The lifeline can end in 3 places. Either it take a curve in this point and it becomes shorter, or it can end up the location where you see the black line, or it can end up very far. So basically we have A, B, and C. Let's explain those 3 positions. The B is basically normal. This is how it needs to be. That means that the Venus Mount like this become big enough, the person is passionate, and lifeline is long, and there is excitement. When you have C, it make the Venus Mount a little bit smaller. So we lose the passion. So maybe there is a long life, but the person will be not so much with excitement. It will be a little bit boring to be with them, or it will be for them boring to be with themselves, because they're missing Venus in their personality. So when you take them, let's say, to a restaurant which is fancy, they will say words like, why do I need it? Now that's go perfectly with the thin lips that I'm going to explain it when we get to the face. Thin lips, not strong in Venus mount. You're going on a date, you consider yourself very hyper and full of energy, and you want to talk to them with full of energy and all the things you like, they will not understand you. It's not because they're bad, they just have no idea what you're talking about. For them, life is small Venus, don't talk much, eat politely and go home. That's how they think. It's not that they are bad people, it's different. Universe is full of different type of people. The variety is what makes this universe beautiful. Now, let's look to A. When the lifeline going very far, touching, remember what it is? What is this mount? Remember, it's the moon. This is the moon area. When the lifeline going all the way to the moon area, we're creating a large Venus mount, but also it's too much because the lifeline touching the moon. When the lifeline touching the moon, remember fantasy, all kind of, the mind is going very far. So that means that the person is restless. They can't rest. They always have to do something. The impatient, the mind switch from subject to subject, by the way, can be genius. But because they're so genius, they can be depressed. Because they're depressed, they can invent something genius and then, God forbid, hurt themselves. And we don't want that to happen. But it's so much fun to be with those people. They are the best. They are the best for people, not the best for themselves. So again, we don't judge here. We are just analyze the hand, and I want to give you just a foundation. So when you see somebody with the lifeline which is going so far to the other side of the hand, don't judge them. Just understand that it might be hyperactivity. You know, they get bored very quickly by everything because the brain is functioning in different frequency than other people. They're a little bit before their time. They are coming with idea that very difficult for them to express themselves. Okay, if they have a thick lips, it will be for them very difficult to express, and they will. The one thing they can't stand is when people don't understand them, and they might get angry. So because this is touch the moon, so you have to check the Mars level. If the Mars level between this area, I'm teaching you some combination. In this area, that's the Mars. Okay. The Mars in this area, which has to do with anger and controlled by Scorpio and Aries, if this is high and this is exists, there might be angry people because they feel people don't understand them. And they might be a little bit too explosive. Those people need a good partner to listen to them, to understand them, because they can go too far with their fantasy. And they live, by the way, they live in a world of fantasy. They don't live here. They are living in a different level, and they are so good for the universe, but they are not so good for themselves. So I hope that's clear, and later on, when we have question and answer, we're going to do a whole video just about question and answer, so you can ask different things. So now we did A, B, and C. This is the location of where the lifeline hand. Now I'm going to take you into a different level, the quality of the line. Now the quality of the line, there is people who have line which is going like that, it's missing, and it ends well. So I want to give your attention, I'm going to make an arrow. There is some space. Now that space shows that in this age, okay, this age, we have an issue. So if this is age 0, and let's say this is age 100, so you skip every time 7 years. So let's say this will be, and with the time you will have more experience. I cannot teach you now the exact date, but this is, for me, is around age 28. Okay? And here is around 55. Okay? So you know that those people in these two ages might have a test, might have an issue. And the issue could be a health issue. We have to look at the other line to see if it's in the brain or the heart or other area. We have to look at their nails. The nails represent health, as I teach you. We didn't study about the heart or the brain. But you know from that space that there is a certain issues that might happen. Now, sometimes people go through depression, to sadness, and that sadness make them not alive. They are alive, but they're not alive. They are alive, but they're not alive. Could be a health issue. Health issue. And the health issue, we have to see the other line to see what exactly is being affected. What exactly we need to know about their body. We look at the face also. When we get to the face, we look at the ears, we look at the nose, we look at the eyes, we look at the eyes, everything. The body talk. Your entire body talk to you, and based on that, will indicate what is that we need to help the person with. Okay? So it's quite important to look at those spaces. Sometimes it will be a surprise that those spaces all of a sudden get close by square. You will see square, perfect square on the lifeline. Unbelievable. Coming out of nowhere. That could indicate two things. One thing, this person is just lucky. Just lucky. He did something last lifetime, reincarnation, and that square means that he's protected, or she's protected. Meaning even they have space, no bad thing will happen to them. Consider it like the line is perfectly complete. Because they did something right last lifetime, exactly in the age 28, this lifetime when they come back, they have enough battery to go, no bad things will happen. Second idea that it indicates, could be they did something so much with giving to the world that the world is giving back. This universe is so generous with us. It's always giving back what we are giving to the universe. So the universe is always will pay back to the people on the lifeline and telling them, you meant to have issues here for 2-3 years, but because of the sharing you did, the volunteering, helping so many people, donating so much money, giving so much food, giving you clothing away, shoes, everything, the universe will give you back. And that's a sign of this square. Now, sometimes instead of square, you will see circle like that. Almost like chain. Now, chain, or what they call in the language of palmistry, it's not a good sign. Okay? Chain means weakness. It doesn't mean that something bad will happen, but it means that there is sometimes a weakness. So let's say we say that this is 28. So if the person comes to see you as a reader when they're 25, and you see this island, as an advisor, you will look at the entire hand and the palm and advise them to change the way of life. You ask them a lot of questions. Do not be shy, because you know in 3 years what's coming. They will go into some difficult health, relationship, and this, by the way, if we're not taking care of it, can turn into space, and then it can be a problem. We don't want that to happen, of course. We don't want that to happen. So island means weakness in the line. Sometimes we're going to see triangle. It's beautiful, like that. Triangle is a mystical thing. That means that within that area, there is some esoteric or mystical awakening for that person. So it could be in the age 25, they have nothing to do with spirituality. But when they come to this age, they have so much awakening, and you can look at the line, how the line continue after that. And you will know that those people are before a tremendous amount of spiritual awakening in the lifeline. So as you can see, the lifeline, so many things that it's giving you that you need to know what's going on there. All right? I have to add more pieces of information with your permission. There is people that will have what we call sister line. Sister line means that you have a line on Venus Mount, you have the lifeline, and you have sister line next to it. Sister line meaning the spirit of the dead that come to help. Spirit of the dead that come to help, they see that that individual cannot, she or he, cannot make it on their own. So they come to help them. They volunteer to come down to this world. They're not born. They're coming in a function of a spirit that almost like an angel that fly around them to make sure that they will be able to function with whatever tough time that they might have to go through. Now, if the original lifeline is missing and these sister line are there, you don't have anything to worry, because the sister line is stronger than the lifeline and they are protecting the person from anything that might happen to them. Okay? So it's a quite important thing to remember. The lifeline. So there is a very famous holidays that turn into more a religion. And one holiday called Passover, it's a holiday that appears in the Bible. The other holiday called Rosh Hashanah. Both of them, if you ask more Jewish people, they will feel more related to it. Unfortunately, most people don't know that those holidays exist before it was a religion. So for example, Rosh Hashanah was actually the birthday of Adam and Eve. Every Rosh Hashanah, on the birthday of Adam and Eve, you're allowed to ask for a longer lifeline, for a longer life. Once a year, you meditate for 48 hours to ask for a longer life. This is actually what you're asking for. I want to live longer. And people not familiar with that. Because it becomes so religious, they said, that's not for me. And it's so stupid because missed opportunity. Then you have the Passover. Passover was dedicated to have the quality of life better. So the quality of the life of the individual depend actually on how he's doing Passover. And most people relate it into a night that we eat some food and matzah, and we get almost like Thanksgiving, you know. But they're more related to historical channel, not to Discovery Channel, meaning people more related to what used to be in Egypt instead of related it more to what am I benefit from it. So the depth of the lifeline, a lot has to do with Passover, when the length of the lifeline has to do a lot with Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, again, the birthday of Adam and Eve. Passover, the quality of my life as it is. Now, some people have a lifeline that ends with a split in the end. When the lifeline ends with a split, you need to know that you're not going to live in the country where you were born. And most probably you're not going to die in a place where you were born. So everybody who has a split exactly in the end of the lifeline, meaning in the bottom of the palm, not the beginning where I wrote before 0, not below the index finger, it means that that person will end up in a different place where they were born. It doesn't mean always bad. It means that in another lifetime they did whatever they did, wrong thing, good thing, that they have to come into that country to be there because they have a purpose to be there to meet a certain individual or people, maybe get married, maybe have children in that country. So they add, or business, they have to get out of where they were born into the new place of where they need to be. So this is the general idea of the lifeline. And again, it's so important to remember that the lifeline is the first thing you're looking at the hand, because it's quite important, because the lifeline is taking you into places that you know you are here longer and you are here with a lot of quality of life. But I would like to tell you something. Because I'm doing many readings on many people, from the poorest person to the richest person, from the somebody nobody know exists to the most famous people in the world. So I meet all type of people. It's a great job that I have. So my experience is what I'm famous for when I do reading. And I will tell you that even many books are talking about palm reading, not necessarily always one line indicate the old truth. So, for example, even in the beginning of the lifeline, you will see that the line starts with many islands. That person meant to be sick when they were a kid and then survive it. Now, sometimes it meant that they meant to die because based on who they are and what they came here to do, the angel didn't see that there is hope for that soul. So it's better that that soul leave as a baby and reborn again in a reincarnation. But if the lifeline continue, and after small islands that appear in the beginning, that means the person will survive a sickness. And through that, make it, and if the lifeline is large enough, they are here to be more for others. They are not for themselves. Because those small islands that appear on the lifeline mean that they never meant to be alive here. They meant to be gone. But the Creator, the Divine, the angel, nature, whatever you want to name it, gave a second chance for that person, and that person has to remember that he or she had to share, had to give, had to do different things for people in their life. So this is about the lifeline, and I want to move to a different line with your permission. Okay? Now, I will always relate it to the line before. Okay? So I'm going to make the line here. This is the lifeline, remember? And now we're going to talk into different line, which called the headline. The reason we call it the headline, it has to do with your brain. Physically, it has to do with your brain. Mentally, it has to do with the way you think. Okay? Headline is going from side to side. So it starts below the index finger. It doesn't matter if it's right or left, by the way. It always starts below the index finger. And it crosses the end all the way to the end. Just the end can be either, again, the same like either A, B, or it end up totally down with C. A, if it's going from side to side, crossing the arm, in the middle, logical person, thinking from the mind, all about brain, 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 or what people call left column. I don't know if it's true or not, but people call it left column brain. Okay? So, logical thinker, very good analytical brain, great for scientists, great for doctors. What else? Not so great for philosopher. Okay? B will be more the type of philosopher, because you see that the headline, which is the brain, going a little bit toward the moon. Remember, the moon represents fantasy. Okay? So fantasy has to do a lot with thinking out of the box, getting out of the box, come up with idea. Also, I'll tell you another secret. If on the B line will be a split, like that, this person is definitely a writer. And you have to educate them that they need to write. They must write. If they have something that seems like the tongue of a snake, you know, in the end, there is a split. So they need to be a writer. They're born to be a writer. If they're not going to write, they will be depressed. They have to write every day. Must write every day. Otherwise, it will affect from the moon, and the moon, remember, can bring depression. And they will be sad. They will not be happy. If they write every day, it will bring happiness into their soul. Super creative, but writing is their mission. Writing is their mission, or acting, but acting depends on the moon in the ring finger that we have to look into the whole picture. C, if, as you can see, I see that the green marker works better, so I will make it. C, here, when the headline ends up in the bottom of the palm, that's suffering from depression. The people might not want to admit it. Sadness. A lot of sadness in their mind. They see the impossible. They're affected by the moon. If you know astrology, most probably their moon is, your emotions. So in the chart, your moon representing your emotions. So if they have, let's say, moon in one of the water sign, like Scorpio, moon in Scorpio, or moon in Cancer, or moon in Pisces, and they have this line, they might be even suicidal. So you have to be careful when you meet a person like that and you know a little bit astrology, to advise them to see the bright side of life. Find the bright side of life. And advise them to write also. Because those people, once they write, they can climb. And you will be shocked what I saw when I do reading with people. Because people come to see me once a year. So I saw that line start to climb up. It's amazing. They're just changing with the time. As they behave, they're changing. They have to be active physically. If they're not active physically, people with C, it can really affect. Again, it's amazing. It can really affect the mood. They need to get out of the house, take a walk, do something. They might develop some disease that are really physically not exist, and nobody will find out what they have. They basically will tell them you have nothing wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. And they will develop it because the line of the head, the mind, the way they think, how they think, is being affected by the moon affecting fantasy, the fantasy turn into a real disease, God forbid, or suicidal. So when we meet people with the headline going crash down to the moon, we have to help them. We have to be there for them, especially for the reader. Whoever do my type of profession have to be aware of that. That's good. Now let's go back to the beginning of the headline, where it starts. There is also 3 places where it's going to start. So the headline can start, and I will just erase this part so you can see. I will put it into numbers so it'll be easier to remember. The headline either start in the lifeline, together with the lifeline, separate from the lifeline. A, B, C. I'm sorry, let's put numbers, because otherwise I can get you all confused. 1, 2, and 3. So when you have a line that separates totally from the lifeline, the headline will separate totally from the lifeline, you have a kid who's super independent. They will not listen to the parents. And the parents will not try to control them. They are just free to go. They are free to go. It's beautiful when you see that. So they're not so beautiful, they're very rebellious. Nobody can tell them what to do. So if they're born under the sign of Aquarius, for example, it will be very difficult to talk to them. Gemini, very difficult to talk to them because they feel trapped. They don't like to feel trapped when they have that line. So Aquarius, Gemini, Libra, air sign, who have that issue, it's a little bit too much freedom that work against them. Their prison become their freedom. But if it's balanced in the other area of their hand, it's good. Now if they have so much space here, and the line in the end go here, all the way to C, they have a lack of believing in the higher power. And that's why they don't mind to hurt themselves. And this is why we have to be able to somehow manage the kids. If you see the kids, when I say kids, it has to be above 14, because before 14, the line is not yet sitting very well on your palm. It's just there, it's coming and change. Now, 2 is the normal way, not necessarily normal, but those people that the lifeline and the headline start together mean they've been controlled by their parents. The parents captured them and they didn't let them go anywhere because they were afraid for them. They were overly protected by the parents, and through that, the kids lost independency. Now, how far is this connection between the lifeline go and the headline go? And here, that's the area. So freedom begins when the space between the lifeline and the headline appear. Now there is people, number 3, is very rare to see that. It exists, very rare, that you're going to see that the headline start inside the lifeline, exactly on Venus Mount. That's difficult to see. It's almost impossible to see something like that. But that means that within those people, there is a need of a dependency. they born into a parent that they are too much depending on the parents. And you cannot just push them away to the street. You have to look what they have on the other line. How large is the love line? How large is the lifeline? How good their imagination? If the line going to be, then you need to know how to talk to them. You talk to them about, let's write a book together. They're afraid of doing things alone. They don't like to be alone, okay? They like to belong to a group. So it will be wise to advise them to be always part of some social activity, part of a group, spiritual group, part of a sports group. They gotta do things together. Now, this is the lifeline again. There is sometimes people with a headline, double. Double headline means psychic ability, super intuitive. Whoever have double headline, always remember that. If it's in both ends, they know everything. They are so intuitive, it's like not normal. Now remember, intuition not necessarily come from human, come from an animal. So animals are more intuitive than us. But look at that. If you're so intuitive about people, many times you will feel things, and whatever you feel will be right. But it will be right for that moment, but it's wrong for 1 hour later. So it's only true for now. It's not true for later. So for that reason, people with that kind of power might be very judgmental. So if they're Virgo, you have to warn them and say, hey, listen, you're right, but that person changed. Tomorrow it's going to be a different person. They cannot accept it. It's very difficult for them. Super power in the brain. If they learn to use the power, they can even change things with the brain in a distance. They can cure people from far. They can telepathically send a message to people without emails or text message. That's how powerful they are. But unfortunately, those people end up being too judgmental, and they lose that power to become more I know it all. Because they're always right, but they are wrong in the long term. If they meet somebody spiritual who will advise them how to use it, they can turn to be so tremendously helping the universe and society in a way that it's unheard of. It's unbelievable power, and this is very, very powerful people. Now, sometimes you're going to see a headline which is broken, like that. In this area of where it's broken, it indicates a problem in the brain or a problem in the mind. Now, of course, you have to look for space in the other line. You have to see if there is space in the lifeline, if there is a space in the love line, if there is a space in the fortune line. You gotta look for different spaces. Because if the space only appear in the head, it's related only to the head. But if it's appear also in the lifeline, that might be a danger for their life. So you need to know what it's related to. You have to, again, practice. One of the things about palmistry is practice, practice, practice. So that space means you ask them very simple questions. That's what I do. I ask them, did you ever fall on your head? If they say no, I never fall on my head, okay? Then you start talking to them about headache or other things that they might suffering from. Because that's not always a good news. That means there is a lack of energy in that area of their life. And you must look into the lifeline. So if the lifeline, for example, will be missing something here, and it's the same thing here, they have to take care of their health. And the mind, the brain, when we talk about the brain, we're talking about danger of stroke, danger of anything with the brain function, loss of memory, everything to do with the mind. Everything to do with the mind. Now don't get confused between this to a broken line. Some readers get confused. It seems broken, but it's actually double headline. Double headline means double mind, remember, psychic. So don't forget that it's not the same. Now, sometimes you will have a broken, and now I'm teaching you the language, and in this broken thing will be a square. Like before, square save you. Square, always good news. If The line is built from chain. And in the end of the chain, it's dropping down. So that means that person's brain is suffering from something. He was born, or she was born with the issues. And there is a danger that they will kill themselves, or there is a danger that something happened to the mind or to the brain. Because the line which is built from a chain is a weak line, it's not a strong line. We gotta take care of it. You gotta take care of it, see a doctor, see a psychiatrist, and be opened up about expressing yourself. You have to express yourself. Of course, when people like that, we have to look at their eyes. When we're gonna get to the section of the eyes, and hopefully you will be able to memorize everything I teach. So you put together the eyes and the brain together, and you will see if you're able to get the information together. Okay. So as you can see, the concept of understanding the hand is now when you look at people, you look at the size of the finger, you look at the thumb like I teach you last time, you look at the lifeline and the headline, you're already knowing so much. You're already knowing right away what's going on, what's in front of you. You're going on a date. You see who you're dealing with. Where the lifeline going down, lifeline going straight. Okay, lifeline going straight, cutting the head to two. You have a logical brain, talk logical, talk numbers. You have a line going curve a little bit down, talk philosophical ideas. Stop with these numbers and logical and time and to be too exact. Talk about blah, 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 the meaning of life. What's the color green mean to you? What is really blue? Is it the sky or the ocean? They will love this conversation. Okay? People with a straight line, they don't understand where it's going. What's the purpose of it? How much money I'm going to make in the end? You know? But people with the headline going down, there is more fun talking about philosophy. Think of it like philosophers are round and logical are square. So every time that you are talking round to people or you're talking square, that's the way you can remember that. I would like to go into the love line or into the heart line. Love line represents the heart in the body and the love in your life. Funny enough that people related to each other, that the love is in the heart. You know, and the head is the mind, the way you think, and also the brain itself. So let's see first the location. The location, again, every location is very important to remember, and I'm doing it in a way that you guys can memorize it because it's all about memory. It's a language. Again, remember, lifeline, headline now, okay? Coming from here. So I'm going to make the heart line green so you can see. Start below the pinky and it can end up in 3 places. A, B, or C. Let's make sure we understand. When the love line is long, it's great, right? Of course, the line has to be curved well on your palm, strong, no island, already explained that before. So when it ends up on the index finger, which is Jupiter, the person is in love with the concept of love. Not necessarily love the person they're with, but they love the concept of romantic. They love the concept of wine and fish, I don't know, on the beach. They love the idea of vacation with their partner. But it's not necessarily that they love the partner. This is, many people are doing that mistake because they say, of course I love my partner. Why? Because I'm with them on a vacation, because I'm with them on a romantic event. But when you look at the love line and it's so long, they are in love with the concept of love. It happened to be with this partner. Why not? Enjoy. I'm not against it. But they just have to be aware, and the reader has to be aware what they're dealing with. And the reader cannot tell them that they're wrong. They are terrible in taking criticism because they are on the planet of love. They are so in love. Life is beautiful. I have the best time of my life. Don't wake them up. There's no need. They're in love. with that person, they're in love with love. Why am I talking like that about it? It sounds like I'm judging them. Because those people might be too busy with themselves. As you can see, this is the planet Jupiter, remember? Below index is Jupiter. Jupiter is called grandiose, exaggeration, thinking big about everything. So they want to do everything about doing big thing. By the way, this is the Jupiter, also the area of religion and spirituality, leader of religion and spirituality. So when they have it like that, a lot of time they will lie to themselves what's really going on. Could be they are not with their soulmate, but because they need love so much, whatever it's there, it's good. So for example, the sign that don't change, it's called, there is sign that change and there is sign that don't change. Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. It's nothing to do with the sign. It's called a fixed sign. Those signs, if they have those lines all the way up, they might be not aware that they are actually not in love with the person. They're just in love with the love itself. And they might need to go to experience of another person while they are committed to that person they're with. So they're either going to cheat and wake up and say, oh my God, what have I done? But I didn't know I don't love my husband, or I didn't know I don't love my wife, or I didn't know I didn't love my girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is. All of a sudden they wake up because the universe sent them the test to wake them up, which was a good thing. It wasn't a good thing that they cheat. It was a good thing to wake up that they are busy with themselves, with their love life. B is more balance between Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter is the exaggeration. Saturn is fixed, is strong. Saturn tells you the reality in your face. That's why it's controlled by Capricorn. All the reality of face. That's what's really going on. No imagination, no nothing. Dry. But because it's between the figure, it's a balanced love. Those people know what they want, know where they are. It's a very good place for the love life to end. It doesn't mean that A is a bad. They just have to learn to use it. Because if A find their soulmate, there is endless amount of love that they can give. They never stop, and they enjoy it. C is a situation. I want to show you, maybe it wasn't clear. C love line look like that. It's a short love line, meaning the love line stop exactly in the mount of Saturn, which is not supposed to be there. So it's exactly stopped there, and that could mean two things. You have to look at both hands. The left hand represents the past, the right hand represents the future. So if on the left hand, the love line was longer, and in the right hand, all of a sudden the love line is shorter, that means that that person gets hurt so bad in a relationship that the lines start to go backward. Why? Because like this, they protect themselves. They protect themselves never to get hurt again by a human being. And that's why they don't allow to express emotions very well. They don't like to express their emotion. They don't like to receive emotion. They actually don't want to receive love. They don't want people to compliment them and tell them how much they love them. They feel responsibility if somebody starts telling them, I love you. They run away from that. Because for them it means, oh my God, I'm going to get disappointed again. It could happen something from another lifetime if it exists in both hands. If the lifeline end before Jupiter, that means before the index figure, that means that they are, if it's in both hands, suffer tremendously last lifetime or in their childhood. So they don't believe in love because love is not stable for them, so they prefer to give it up. And what they do, the headline becomes stronger and they believe only in logic. Very sad story, but it's appeared, unfortunately, in a lot of people's hands. You know? Now, because this line represents the heart, we need this line to be good. Now, and we need to look at that line. If there is feathers, some love line will look like that, and it will be feathers, like that. You are dealing with a Don Juan, you're dealing with somebody, a man who have many women, or with the girls who have many guys, okay? So those people, I don't want to judge, but I want to tell you what it indicate It doesn't mean those people are cheaters, but it's indicated those people need more than one partner. They cannot be with one partner. So if you commit for a marriage or something like that, you need to be aware of that. Now, if the feathers stop at a certain point because there is age on the line, that means that will stop as well, and they will not need more than one partner. They will not need more than one partner. They will be okay with the love as they have it, and they develop the love life that they have into the next level. I mean, think about it. What is love? I mean, in the end of the day, love means sharing. I'm willing to share with you everything, and I'm willing to receive everything you share. That's what love is. I'm receiving all what you want to share, and I'm willing to share all what I have. So like this, we both continue to contain all the love. You give me all your love, and I'll give you all my love. And we have the yin and yang situation of giving and receiving, and it's perfect life. But those people give up on love. They don't believe that somebody can sustain them, and for that reason, they have to sustain themselves by meeting enough partner to sustain the level of love. Now, from a health point of view, if the love line will have island, of course, this is not the best sign. It's better than missing line or a break in the line, because break in the line can indicate a heart attack, God forbid, a blood pressure situation, depends on the nail. If the nails are blue or under the eyes is blue, of course you have to check your blood pressure or the blood circulation. Okay, so normally islands mean that the heart line is not strong enough. Now you have to check by having conversation with the person. Is it the heart physically, or is it the emotions? What exactly weak there? What are we talking about? What exactly missing there? And through conversation you can understand more. If there is a line which is broken, that heart is not strong. If you happen to be a Leo, you have to make sure to talk to those people about taking care of their health. Okay? Because Leo, from a point of the body structure, the heart belongs to the Leo. Okay? So you have to look at a lot of things and to see what's going on. If the lifeline is short, so that means, let's say this is, age 35, and the line don't continue, that's not a good sign with that. You don't tell them because you don't want to scare them. You look at other things. You look at the fingernails type. If the fingernails type is kind of going in a conic shape, meaning narrow in the bottom, large on the top, missing lifeline, broken love line, we have an issue. We have an issue. It's good to see cardiologists, good to check the body, because we are dealing with a health issue that might lead to not a good ending. Okay? And of course, the way you talk to them, you look at the headline. When you look at the headline, you know how to talk to them. You talk logical, you talk more philosophical. It's all based on what you have there. Okay, next time what we're going to do will be the fortune line and the ages. How is it related to the age? I'm going to do the fortune line and the Venus, the mount of Venus, not the mount of Venus, the ring of Venus, the ring of Saturn. Okay, the ring of Saturn, and that's how we're going to finish the palm and prepare question for next time. So it's going to be like half an hour that part, and question of people that they want to ask question. That will be great. Okay.